Hello and welcome to Men in the Den. My name's Eric and it's Friday. This week on Men in the Den, it is Random Topics Week, and I would like to go back and explore a topic that was requested by one of our friends over at Gamer Redefined, who asked about my creative process when I am world building. In my Monday night campaign, I have gotten the opportunity to take over the reins as the game master / storyteller for our Monday night group. We've done Mutants and Masterminds, we've done Dungeons and Dragons, and we had a conversation about what type of game we wanted to play, and we kind of went back old school to World of Darkness. For those of you who don't know, World of Darkness is kind of a grim, dark campaign setting set in contemporary society, but kind of the seedy underbelly of that society where creatures of the night lurk and hunt humanity. So there are systems for vampires and werewolves and changelings who are corrupted by being in the fairy realm. We are going to be doing a campaign in this world in basically the underworld version of Portland. To get into the creative process, how do you start this? The first thing that we did was we went down through the campaign systems and each of them actually chose that they wanted to be a different kind of creature. They didn't want to all be werewolves or all be vampires, and so that's a little bit different. And this also opened up a lot of really interesting opportunities, because if we're talking about playing all of these weirdo creatures in Portland, that just kind of helped me gravitate right towards the theme, which we decided was to keep Portland weird. The premise that we came up with was that each of these creatures is a representative of their respective creature types, their respective clans. So there's a werewolf, there's a vampire, there's a changeling, there's a wizard, all these different things all coexisting together, and they have formed a kind of council to protect Portland as an important place. And possibly because there's some kind of magical force here, like a ley line or something critically supernatural going on that has both protected them and drawn them to this environment. The next thing that I have to do is come up with what is in this environment, who is in this environment, and where everything is taking place. So, places, people, and things. It's all nouns. How hard could that be? Starting with places. So this was the easiest thing. So I just grabbed out a guidebook of Portland. I've only lived here a year. I know some of Portland, but I don't know like all the deep history of it. So what I did was, using this guidebook, I just kind of flipped through all of the different historical sites, parks, cemeteries, important clubs and bars, and those kinds of locations that could be important and useful settings for a World of Darkness campaign. You want to find places that are important both as like researchy, occulty sites, or places where creatures of the night can gather, like strip clubs or cemeteries and things like that. Parks especially are big for some of the more wild creatures, like from beast or from werewolf. And all of those things can serve as important settings. And so what I did was I wrote down on this notebook, I'm a big notebook person, all the different locations that could be a part of the game. So I've got, strip clubs, PSU, Portland State University, the Lone Fir Cemetery, which is a big cemetery down here in Southeast. It's got like people going back generations and generations. The Grotto, which is a old kind of religious sanctuary place that's out in the gorge. I think it's in the gorge. It's outside of the city limits, but it's a big cool place. The Crystal Ballroom, which does a lot of big events like Blow Pony and stuff like that, and the Vegan Strip Mall and stuff like that. So all of these are places that I'm going to try to mine for supernatural events happening in them. Now we're talking about who, and today I've been working on the who's, and I'm starting to pull together a list of people who could be antagonists or allies to the players. So I started with some kind of broad categories of people, like journalists, techies, government folks, people who work in nightlife, occulty type people, and I just started writing down like some kind of jobs that they would have, like city commissioner or police officer or blogger of weird stuff, and all of those things turn into potential characters as serving as background allies and antagonists to the players. And speaking of antagonists, one of the big things that we talked about in the campaign collaboration beginnings was the primary ally or antagonist. The primary antagonist against these creatures of the night would most likely be some kind of hunters, and that already opens up a whole vista of things. We've got, you know, potential like skinheads. We've got like people who live out in the boondocks who are like, you know, militia people. There's stuff like that could happen. There's all kinds of potentials for like some corporate intrigue, mad science, stuff like that. Lots and lots and lots of different things. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting down all of these people, and I'm going to start divvying them up into potential allies or enemies, and putting together character sheets for them, just like you would for any of the other characters that are going to be playing. The last thing, and the thing that I have not yet done yet, is the whats. That would be in the game. These would be things like magical items or some kind of MacGuffin that the players would have to go find as part of like an intrigue or like a way to, you know, move the story along according to some kind of plot. Obviously there's going to be fights, but there's going to be also like research and ways to kind of like figure out what's going on. I'm thinking that we're going to probably open with like a murder investigation and trying to figure out like who killed this Sasquatch or something like that, and hunting down the hunters and seeing where that takes us. It really kind of boils down to, again, people, places, and things. Get all your nouns out and build up those things and those places and those people into fully fleshed out background material. So that's my creative process. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, about the World of Darkness, or about this Keep Portland Weird campaign setting that I'm putting together, please leave those down in the crotch. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram, and I'll see you all next Friday. Cheers!